Howdy y'all. Today we're going to look at starting a Seraphon Army. If you've decided you want to jump in to this amazing model line, which I absolutely love, and you want to build a Seraphon Army, I'm going to go through a couple different ways that you can build it quickly and cheaply, and maybe some ways that it's just fun to build, and maybe the fourth one is just money's not an option. I want the best looking models in the game and to have fun. So we're going to look at two ways to build it that are serious and two ways that are pretty fun. So that's what we'll look at today. How to easily build a Seraphon army using some of the start collecting kits and what we need to add to that to get up and running pretty quick. So the first one we're going to look at is a Saurus army. And we're going to use the Seraphon Start Collecting. Now this Start Collecting has been around a little while. You can find it fairly cheap. Especially used on eBay or Amazon. But we're going to look at all the prices that are on GW's website, and we'll be using American dollars. So if you are in a different country, you'll have to do the conversion there. But we'll look and see what these prices come out to be. What's the cheapest way we can build a 2,000 point Seraphon army quickly and easily? So the Saurus box here it's not a bad deal. It used to be, the past few years that this box was a good jumping off point, but it was just kind of terrible units because Carnosaurs were bad, Saurus Knights were bad, Saurus Warriors were bad. Now they've gotten a little bit better, and I think you can make a pretty decent army out of this Start Collecting box. It's probably not the most competitive list you're going to get out of Seraphon, but it's pretty fun because everybody loves the Carnosaur. The dinosaurs are awesome. The lizards riding dinosaurs with the Knights are awesome. And the Saurus Warriors, well, I mean, they're kind of derpy, but they're not bad. Well, no, they're bad models. They really need to be updated, but we can get a bunch of them in this box. So in that Saurus Seraphon Start Collecting box, we've got the Carnosaur kit, which you can build as the Old Blood, the Scarvedon Carnosaur, or even the Troglodon if you want to. It also comes with 8 Saurus Knights, an odd combo, but we're going to see that in a lot of these boxes as they don't come in exactly the numbers that you need. And then 12 Saurus Warriors. And so, again, you can only field Warriors in 10 and Knights in 5. So you got some odd numbers here. A lot of people would turn one of the Knights into a cold one on Scarvedon on cold one, and then one of the Warriors into a Astrolith Banner Bearer. And so that's a pretty easy conversions on both of those. Real easy, just using the bits in the box, and you can make some extra stuff out of that. But this box is $90 on GW. You can get, as I said, you can get them a little bit cheaper other places, but pretty good bang for the buck there. Really good bang for the buck there and what you get. I'm also, Lord Croak, he's going to be in most of these because I think he's well worth the points. He's a lot tougher than the normal Slon, and he has a chance to give you an extra command point over the normal Slon. So Lord Croak is $55. We're going to build our base list off of those. And so in this army here, we're just going to buy 3 Start Collecting boxes and Croak. That's going to be our main, that's going to be all we're going to buy on this list. So 3 Start Collecting boxes. So that'll give us 3 different options for Carnosaurs plus Lord Croak. Those are going to be our heroes there. And then we're going to fill in the rest with the battle line from those Warriors and Knights. And so 3 Start Collectings and a Lord Croak, that gets us up to $325. For an entire army, $325 is actually pretty good. What will that make us, though? So here's, I wrote up a list, a list out of just those 3 boxes and a Lord Croak. So we've got Lord Croak. We're not going to use him as our general, so we can put our command trace and our artifacts on a Carnosaur. We're going to have a Saurus Old Blood on Carnosaur. He'll be our general, giving him Dominant Predator and Eviscerating Blade. And then I'm gonna do 2 Scar Veterans on Carnosaurs because I think they're 40 points cheaper, and I think they're worth their weight being 40 points cheaper. I think having one of each is really good, and so my third one I'm gonna double down on the Scar Veteran because he's cheaper. And we're gonna kit bash an Astrolith Bear from one of those extra warriors that we have. Buying 3 boxes, we end up with 24 Knights, so we can only use 20 of them. coming out in even numbers for this list. But I like running the knights in units of 10, especially backed up by a Carnosaur to help them out. So that'll be nice there, having 2 blocks as kind of your offense. And they can also take a punch because they've got 2 wounds each, and in Coalesced, they're reducing damage by 1, so they should be fairly tough. And then a block of 30 Saurus Warriors. And it would be nice if we had 40, because you can buy the next 10 for a discount, for a Horde discount. But unfortunately, with 3 boxes of this Start Collecting, we're only going to end up with an odd number. So we're going to have 36, which means we're going to have to come up with an extra 4 from somewhere. So we're only going to run 30 of them right now in this list. And that leaves us at 1,800 points. And so I think you can either take one of the battalions, and if you do, you can either split up the warriors into the Sunblood or Sunclaw battalion. Just do 10, 10, 10, so you can fill out that battalion. The battalion gives you an extra artifact, gives you a command point to start. Or you can do the Fire Lance battalion for the knights, and so you'll have to split one of those units of 10 up into 5s and 5s, so you can get that battalion. But then if you add one of those battalions, you have a few points left over for an endless spell, which are very good in Seraphon because they're bound. So if you have endless spells, you'll want to use one of those. If you don't already have endless spells, some good ones to look at are Geminids and Purple Sun and Balewind Vortex. I think those 3 are the ones that I generally end up taking the most. Bound Balewind, Bound Purple Sun, and Bound Geminids are just awesome in our list. And so here I think we can get a pretty decent army for $325 retail. So it's not too shabby. And this is a pretty fun list. You're going to struggle against a lot of shooting. You don't have hardly any ranged other than Croak's spell. You'll be able to pop off the opposing team's support characters with his Comet. But other than that, you don't have a whole lot of shooting, and so you will kind of struggle with that. But this is a lot of fun in melee, and so you can start this as your base army here. If you really like the dinosaurs, it'll be fun. Probably a 3-2 army, depending on what they do with our points in the next GHB. You might have some really hard matchups, and the knights are a little tricky to get to do a lot of work, especially if you don't have a Star Priest in this list. But it'd be fun. It'd be a lot of fun. All right, so what else can we do? We're gonna look at Skink Focused Army. They have another Start Collecting box for Seraphon, and I think with this box you can make a little bit more of a competitive list. I think it does struggle with the Pterodon Ripperdactyls in it, as they really took a hit in the last update. They're okay now, but I think you really have to design your lists to use the Pterodons or the Ripperdactyls. And if that's the case, you're going to be buying quite a few boxes of them, and I don't think the Start Collecting box will be really worth your money. So where I think this is worth it is you get your Skink Priest, you get a Bastildon, you get a unit of Skinks. Again, they come in 12s. And then a unit of either Pterodons or Ripperdactyls. And so there's a breakdown of what that is. It's $100, $100 American dollars. And so it is a little bit more expensive than the other one. And it's a little bit newer, so you can't find it as cheaply as the other one. But it does have one of my favorite units, the Bastildon. I absolutely love the Bastildon. And so I think you can make some good lists with the Bastildon in either Starborn, which is one of the Seraphon subfactions, or in Coalesced, and where you get to fire them twice. And so you can have some fun stuff to do with these Bastildons in whichever subfaction you're going to do. Of course, we're going to get Lord Croak in this list. And so I'm going to start off with the Lord Croak, and I'm going to get 2 boxes of these Start Collectings, because I want the 2 Bastildons. I need 2 Skink Star Priests. They're awesome. I love Skink Star Priests. They go in just about every list I make. You're always going to need the Skinks, and then we're going to try to find a use for the Pterodons since we're getting them in this box. What else I'm going to fill out this list is we're going to also have to purchase some Skink Priests. So you can either kit bash these if you have some extra Skinks left over. Maybe you've got the Carnosaur kit that you didn't build into a Troglodon. there's a skink priest on that you can use, or if you had an engine of the gods or something that had a skink priest on it. But and for the sake of building this, we're starting from scratch. We're building a Seraphon list brand new. Those guys are $18 on GW. So we're gonna buy 2 of those. We're gonna have the 2 star priests from the Start Collecting with Lord Croak, 2 skink priests, and then we're gonna have to buy 3 boxes of skinks to supplement. Now this is gonna be a lot of skinks to paint, but they have scales, so they take to contrast perfectly. Seraphon is wonderful for contrast paints, so you can actually knock out skinks pretty quick with contrast paints. So not too bad. It comes out to $405, and so it's not too bad for an entire army, and that's going to be a lot of wounds. So let's look at what our list looks like. Here's what the list I come up with this purchase would be. We have Lord Croak again, obviously, and our other 4 heroes are the 2 Skink Star Priests and Skink Priests. They're going to be buffing up a big horde of skinks, and so you're gonna run your 40 skinks, each with a priest and a star priest hanging close by to give them their buffs. We're going to put this whole army in Fangs of Sotek for Starborn, by the way, just so they can fire if they get charged. So we've got 2 big blobs of skinks and then another small unit of skinks to fill out our battle line. That's 90 skinks there. You'll have enough with those 3 boxes and then the 2 Start Collecting boxes as well. Our unit of pterodons. So here's what we've got a little bit of issue here with these pterodons, because to run pterodons effectively, you have to have the pterodon chief, and they get real fragile. But the problem is that pterodon chief is out of the pterodon kit, and so you're going to have to buy another pterodon box just to kit bash a pterodon chief. And so I think I'm gonna either put these 6 into a battalion of Shadow Strike, or I'm just gonna split them into units of 3 and almost use them as like objective grabbers, quick units. I mean, this army is already really quick, but they're gonna kind of be harassing the enemy, getting in their way, grabbing objectives, flying over the top of people. I think that's what their role is going to be in this army. And then I've got my 2 Bastillons that came from the Start Collecting box. They're going to be my big tanks. If you haven't seen how their 1-up save works, look back at my channel and you can see the video on how the 1-up Bastillon save works. They're pretty awesome. They're susceptible to mortal wounds, but anything other than that, and they're pretty nice. So that brings us out to 1860 points. That leaves me enough it doesn't leave me enough to take the Shadow Strike, unfortunately. Shadow Strike's a pretty expensive battalion, but I'm probably going to fill out the rest of that with endless spells. I'll probably purchase an extra command point so I can start one, especially if I don't have a battalion. So I'm going to start with a command point in case I get alpha charged. I can fire off my skinks. And then I'm going to just fill out the rest with endless spells. Bound endless spells are great, especially when you got 3 casters here. So you'll be able to cast out some endless spells. So if I took, Balewind, an extra command point, that would leave me 50 points for spell. So not too bad. So that's what my skink focused list would look like. You're buying 3 boxes of skinks, 2 Start Collectings, Lord Croak, and 2 skink priests for $400. Not too bad. Good army. Lots of models. You're looking at 150 wounds. That's pretty good, especially when these skinks, they're going to be at a 5-up save, 4-up if your skink priest's staff goes off. So that's pretty good. You got some pretty good beef here. Your heroes are a little weak. At least Croak has a feel no pain. The other guys are going to be susceptible to some sniping. That might happen, but hopefully you can kill everything before it gets to that. All right, that's my skink list. Now let's move on to some fun lists. My personal favorite was the Stegageddon. You may have seen this on GW's Seraphon preview. Their Stegageddon list they had built using a whole bunch of Stegadons. In their infinite wisdom, they included 2 engines of the gods in their list, but you really can't use 2 engines of the gods in one list because you can only use its ability on 1 model per turn. So I don't really know why they did that. So we're going to alter that a little bit. So what our list is going to be based on is a Slan. That kit's $55. And then we're going to buy 7 Stegageddon kits for $60 each. This is an army you want to run if you're looking for low model count. I'm going to bring it all on 1 tray into the tournament. I don't care about winning. I'm here to have fun. So this army is a little bit more expensive. We're up to $535. So for all those Stegageddon kits and our Slan, the actual list looks like this. So we've got a Slan Star Master, and we've got an Engine of the Gods, and we've got a Stegageddon with Skink Chief. He's gonna be my general. He's gonna be the little beat stick there with Prime War Beast on him, and we're gonna turn the Constellation onto him, so he will do a ton of damage. And then our battle lines in Thunderquake Coalesced, all the Stegageddons are battle line. So we're just going to throw 5 Stegageddons in as battle line. Give them all the Sky Streak Bow, which I love. If you're facing a lot of hordes, you might take 1 or 2 flamethrowers. If you know you're going to face some hordes, you might put your flamethrower on the Skink Chief. He'll do quite a bit of damage with the flamethrower and Prime War Beast. Flamethrowers are almost not worth it with the other Stegageddons. That Sky Streak Bow, though, has a ton of range, 24 inches, 3 damage each. So if you're firing off 5 of them, plus if you have one on the Stegageddon Chief, 6 of them, you can do some pretty nasty damage because some of that's going to sneak through, and it's going to be 3 damage each, which is nice. It's only 79 wounds, and it's only 8 models you're taking to the table. So this army is not going to score objectives. One of the things with the Engine of the Gods, you might want to have some Saurus Warriors in case you get the summons, because you will probably summon a couple times with the Engine if he's hanging around the Slan. You can work some bodies that way. So if you buy an extra kit of Saurus Warriors, that'll get you 2 units. That should be enough for the game. And that'll give you a couple bodies if you need it. But that's a fun one, Stegageddon. I love the Stegageddons. I only personally own 5, so I don't have 7. I probably won't run 7, but this is fun. Please, somebody tell me you've run this before and let me know how it went. And now, for the most amazing list ever. Let's go with some Dread Saurians. All right, so we're gonna have a Slan, $55 for the Slan, and the Dread Saurian, just $240 for the Forge World mega dinosaur here. This thing is huge. You put them on a 280 millimeter base, which you'll actually have to buy separately. They're about $10 on eBay because you don't get one in the kit. This is a Forge World kit. But let's go crazy. Let's say money's no option. I want to run 3 Dread Saurians in my list. So we're going to run a Slan. We're going to buy 2 boxes of Skinks. And we're going to buy 3 Dread Saurians. Just $850. All right. So what this list looks like, pretty much exactly what you see there. A Slan as your general with some fun stuff there. And 3 units of Skinks. You're going to put this in Coalesced. And then we're going to have our 3 Dread Saurians. Incredibly, that's 142 wounds. Even though that's not many models. But those Dread Saurians are 35 wounds each. If we put this in Thunderquake, they go up to 37 wounds each. And they're going to be reducing damage by 1. So these things are going to be incredibly hard to kill. Unfortunately, you probably won't be scoring many objectives. So, not a serious list. I know Hugh on Twitter, he's probably running this list because he's got 3 Dread Saurians, which is, he's my hero. His Dread Saurians are amazing. I'm going to try to link his profile below. Go check out some incredible Dread Saurians that he's building. He's got one with a giant fin on the back. It looks amazing. So, there's some lists. I think, obviously, those last two are just for fun. Our main ones are going to be this Saurus out of the Start Collecting and the ones out of the Skink Start Collecting. You can build some pretty good lists, buying multiples of those, and I think it can be a lot of fun. So let me know what you're building. Let me know what you're starting. If you're new to Seraphon, ask some questions below, and I'll try to get them answered if I can. All right, y'all have a good one.